I'm Sofia Martinez, and this is the story of how my father's secret recipe book saved our family's legacy from the people who tried to steal it. The Golden Spoon restaurant chain had been my father's pride and joy. What started as a single family restaurant in Chicago had grown into 30 locations across the Midwest, each one serving our signature dishes that had earned us features in Food and Wine and a loyal customer base spanning 3 generations. Dad had built the business on 3 principles: fresh ingredients, time-honored recipes, and treating employees like family. Even after we went corporate, even after the IPO that made us millions, he insisted on maintaining those standards. Every chef in every location had to be trained personally by him or me. The recipes are just notes on paper, mijita, he'd say, patting the worn leather recipe book he kept in his office safe. The real secret is in here. He tapped his heart, and in knowing when to trust people and when not to. I should have remembered that last part when my husband, Mark Thompson, suggested bringing his family into the business. The Thompsons were everything we weren't: old money, MBA degrees, corporate efficiency experts. His father, William Thompson, had run several restaurant chains before, specializing in what he called optimization, which usually meant cutting quality to maximize profits. Think bigger, Sophia, Mark had urged. Your father's methods are quaint, but with modern management, we could triple our size in 2 years. Dad was diagnosed with aggressive pancreatic cancer 6 months after the Thompsons bought their first shares. He died 3 months later, leaving me as CEO and majority shareholder, or so I thought. What I didn't know was that Mark had been quietly convincing Dad to sign over shares to protect the business during his illness. By the time I discovered the truth, the Thompsons controlled 51% of Golden Spoon Restaurants Incorporated. The shareholder meeting where they took control was a masterclass in corporate cruelty. The numbers don't lie, William Thompson announced, standing at the podium where my father used to give his passionate speeches about quality and tradition. The current management's outdated methods are holding us back. We need sweeping changes. I sat in the front row, watching as they outlined their modernization plan. Centralized food preparation, frozen ingredients, standardized processes that eliminated the need for skilled chefs. And finally, Mark said, not even looking at me, we'll be restructuring the executive team. Sophia's position is being eliminated, effective immediately. The vote was a formality. They had the numbers. Within an hour, I was clearing out my office, supervised by security as if I were a criminal. Don't forget this, Mark said, tossing Dad's old recipe book onto my desk. We won't be needing handwritten recipes anymore. Our food scientists have already reverse engineered everything. I hugged the leather-bound book to my chest, remembering all the times I'd watched Dad write in it, adding notes and adjustments to recipes that had been in our family for generations. What Mark didn't know, what even I hadn't known until recently, was that the book contained more than just recipes. 2 weeks before he died, Dad had called me to his hospital room. The book, mijita. He'd whispered, his voice weak but his eyes sharp. Remember what I taught you about invisible ink? When I was little, Dad used to send me on treasure hunts, writing clues in lemon juice that only became visible when heated. It was our special game. The real recipes, he continued, the secret techniques, they're hidden. You'll know when to look. I hadn't understood then. But now, sitting in my apartment with the recipe book, I remembered another thing Dad used to say. Heat reveals the truth. That night, I carefully held each page over a light bulb. Slowly, Dad's hidden messages appeared. But they weren't just recipe secrets, they were something much more valuable. The next morning, I called Maria Chen, our longtime head chef who quit rather than work under the Thompsons' new regime. Meet me at the old test kitchen, I told her. Bring everyone who left. I think Dad left us a way to fight back. The test kitchen had been our first expansion location, now closed and up for sale. 20 former Golden Spoon employees gathered there, looking at me expectantly. They think they bought my father's legacy, I told them. But they didn't read the fine print. I opened the recipe book to the first hidden message, now clearly visible. It wasn't just cooking instructions. It was a detailed plan for protecting everything that made Golden Spoon special. Dad had seen this coming. Maybe not the specifics, but he'd known someone might try to take what he'd built and turn it into something soulless. So he prepared. The visible recipes in the book, They were close to the originals, but missing crucial elements. The real secrets, the techniques, the spice combinations, the timing, were hidden in the invisible text. Without them, the food would be good, but not Golden Spoon good. But that wasn't all. Dad had done something else, something brilliantly simple. He'd registered the truly important parts of our recipes and techniques as separate intellectual property under a holding company in my name. The corporation owns the Golden Spoon name, I explained to my assembled team. But we own the heart of what made us special. Maria grinned, understanding dawning. They can copy the visible recipes. But without these secrets, I finished, they'll never replicate what made people line up around the block. I looked around at the faces of people who'd helped build Golden Spoon, who believed in Dad's vision of quality over quantity. They took our name, I said. But they can't take our legacy. Who's ready to help me build something new? Every hand went up. What the Thompsons didn't know was that their takeover wasn't the end of our story. It was just the beginning of something they'd never see coming. 6 months after being forced out of Golden Spoon, I stood in front of a restored 1920s building in downtown Chicago, watching as workers installed our new sign, Martinez Kitchen and Family. The location was perfect, just 3 blocks from the original Golden Spoon restaurant, which was now struggling under the Thompsons' modernized management. Our opening was set for next week, though we've been doing pop-up events for the past month to build buzz. Look at this, Maria said, showing me her phone. The local food blog's headline read, Golden Spoon's magic missing. Customers complain of changed recipes. The Thompsons' food scientists had tried everything to replicate our signature dishes. They'd analyzed samples, consulted experts, even hired away a few of our less loyal chefs. But something was always missing. The invisible touches that Dad had passed down through generations. The marinades aren't right, one review complained. The spice balance is off. It's like a copy of a copy, wrote another. Close, but not the same. William Thompson had already fired 3 corporate chefs, convinced they were sabotaging the recipes. Mark had taken to standing in kitchens, watching preparations like a hawk. But they couldn't recreate what they didn't understand. Sofia, a voice called from across the street. I turned to see Linda Garcia, one of our regular customers from the old days. She was clutching a flyer for our opening. Is it true? She asked excitedly. You're bringing back the real recipes? I smiled. Even better, Mrs. Garcia, we're bringing back the whole family. The family she found inside included more than just the recipes. Maria Chen was our head chef. Carlos Rodriguez, our former produce supplier who'd been dropped by the Thompsons for being too expensive, was back to providing our ingredients. Even old Pete, the maintenance man who'd kept the original Golden Spoon running for 30 years, had come out of retirement to help us set up. But we weren't just recreating the past. Dad's hidden notes had included ideas he'd never had time to implement, new dishes, refined techniques, even sketches for the perfect restaurant layout. We were building something that honored his legacy while pushing it forward. Opening night was magical. The line started forming at 4 p.m. for our 6 p.m. opening. By 5:30, it stretched around the block. Look who's here, Maria whispered, nodding toward a man trying to be inconspicuous in the crowd. It was James Morrison, the food critic who first put Golden Spoon on the culinary map. At precisely 6 p.m., we opened our doors. The first dish out of the kitchen was Dad's signature cochinita pibil, made exactly according to his hidden instructions. When James Morrison took his first bite, his eyes closed in recognition. It's back, he murmured. The magic is back. His review, published 2 days later, was devastating to the Thompsons. While Golden Spoon Restaurant struggles to maintain its former glory under new management, the soul of Chicago's beloved institution has found a new home. Martinez Kitchen and Family isn't just preserving a legacy, it's elevating it. The Thompsons' response was predictable. First came the lawyers, claiming we were violating trade secrets. Which secrets? Our attorney asked in response. The recipes your food scientists allegedly reverse-engineered? Or the actual techniques and methods that were separately registered to Martinez Culinary Innovations, LLC? Then came the threats. Mark showed up at the restaurant one evening, his face red with anger. You're destroying everything we built, he shouted. No, I corrected him calmly. I'm protecting everything my father built. There's a difference. We'll open competing restaurants, he threatened. Right next door if we have to. I smiled, thinking of the hidden notes in Dad's book. Go ahead. But remember, you only have the sheet music. We have the music. The impact on Golden Spoon was immediate and severe. Within 3 months, their sales had dropped by 40%. Customers weren't just choosing us over them. They were actively avoiding what Golden Spoon had become. It's not just the food, one viral review explained. It's the soul. Martinez Kitchen feels like family. Golden Spoon feels like a corporation pretending to be family. William Thompson tried to stop the bleeding by hiring celebrity chefs, launching new menu items, even attempting to buy our recipes outright. When that failed, he proposed a merger. Think about it, he urged. We have the infrastructure, the locations. You have the special touches. Together. Together nothing, I interrupted. You tried to steal my father's legacy. Now you get to watch as your investment crumbles. By the 1-year mark, we had opened 3 more locations, each one carefully chosen and personally staffed. Our chefs trained for months before being trusted with the real recipes. Every restaurant maintained the standards Dad had insisted on: fresh ingredients, proper techniques, and family atmosphere. Meanwhile, Golden Spoon was imploding. Their stock had dropped 60%. Franchisees were demanding to break their contracts. The board of directors, watching their investment tank, finally acted. The shareholder meeting where they voted to remove the Thompsons was almost a mirror image of the one where I'd been forced out. But this time, I was there as a potential savior, not a victim. Ms. Martinez, the board chairman said afterward, would you consider coming back? Perhaps we could arrange a purchase of your current operations. I thought about Dad, about the lessons in his hidden messages. No, I said finally. Golden Spoon made its choice. Martinez Kitchen is our future. 3 years later, Martinez Kitchen and Family has 12 locations, each one successful, each one true to Dad's principles. Golden Spoon still exists, but as a cautionary tale in business schools about the danger of valuing profits over quality. The original recipe book sits in a glass case in our flagship location. Next to it is a note in Dad's handwriting, one of the hidden messages that had appeared when heated. Remember, Mijita, success isn't just about the food. It's about respect. Respect for the recipes, respect for the people who make them, and respect for the customers who become family. Anyone can copy a recipe, but they can't copy the love that goes into it. Mark divorced me shortly after Golden Spoon's collapse. Last I heard, he was working for another restaurant chain, trying to optimize their operations. William Thompson retired in disgrace. But the real story isn't about their failure. It's about how Dad's wisdom preserved something precious. Every morning, when I walk into our restaurants and smell the spices, hear the sizzle from the kitchen, and see our staff preparing for the day, I feel his presence. The invisible ink in his recipe book had revealed more than just cooking secrets. It had revealed a blueprint for maintaining integrity in a world that often forgets its value. Each Martinez Kitchen location has a small plaque that reads, "In memory of Eduardo Martinez, who taught us that the secret ingredient is always love." Our customers often ask why our food tastes better than anywhere else. I tell them the same thing Dad told me. The recipes are just notes on paper. The real secret is in here. And I tap my heart just like he used to do. The Thompsons thought they were buying a successful restaurant chain. What they didn't understand was that success isn't something you can purchase. It's something you build, relationship by relationship, recipe by recipe, generation by generation. Dad knew that. He'd written it in invisible ink, trusting that when the time came, I would know how to reveal the truth. And in doing so, he'd helped us create something even better than what was lost. A true family legacy that could never be stolen.